When the structure of the tattvas is revealed, this becomes a possibility. And psychic powers are accumulated mostly at the point where the unfolding prana Shakti that is, hits some psychic material accumulated in this or that wheel of energy, in this or that chakra. There is a term, it flares in psychic phenomena. So in other words, funny enough, in pure beings, very little psychic phenomena. The purer the being, pure in a sense, system is not clogged much. They don't pull rabbits out of a hat. They can't, you know.
Okay. It's in regards to my process in meditation and in relation to power. I feel so much power coming through. It's not tiring, but it feels as if the whole pantheon of the warriors just plowed through me, moved through me. And there is this slight fear around this power because I feel it is really so potent. There is almost this a subtle fear of like a misuse of that power, or not fully allowing or stepping into that power. And I feel the only kind of act is to surrender to it. It's like I'm riding the dragon, but that role could easily switch and I could turn into the dragon. So I'm just like some kind of reflection onto that, because I feel it's important for me to fully step into that and kind of like own it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you kind of already answered that, right? You answered that yourself, to surrender. But I would maybe just suggest that it's not just to surrender to the power itself. This is why it could be considered a safety valve when we delegate every success in our sadhana, because this also could be considered as success, right? That feeling bigger, stronger, more powerful, more refined, more loving, all this, right? But power in particular, of course, here would be good to bring that reminder that with an amplification of the field, with an amplification of all pranic activity, let alone when Kundalini herself awakens fully, is always accompanied by the amplification of everything. Everything gets amplified. So this is also why perhaps there have been maybe in certain more enclosed communities, in hermeneutic, let's say, traditions, to pay great attention first to how someone is ready for this unfoldment. But in our day and age, this is kind of like no longer the case. There is acceleration in every field. acceleration accompanied by a lot of activation, right? We talked about it 20 years ago. 20 years ago we already talked about it as of this, in activation and acceleration. We are now over 20 years into that. So it's really, really becoming more globalized phenomena. So the safety valve is to have a way we delegate that success, you see? We delegate. In other words, to put it in a plain English, we lay it at someone's feet, as plain as that. We lay it at the altar, or whatever that serves as that symbol there. Because it's very, very easy to, as you have suggested, alluded, right? That power has this feel to it that it's like in every fairy tale, in every myth, right? Like whatever adaptation of it, we watch this, how so-and-so suddenly goes beyond, right? And then this metamorphosis, transformation of the character that promised first to be the savior and the goodie, or like the hero, gets corrupted, gets carried away. And there are some variables. In some cases, this is a learning process, and that hero is saved. In other words, seen through the corruption, seen through how easy it is. Corruption here is obviously, you understand that, right? In all-encompassing sense. And in other cases, how that, character is, perishes because they were unable to summon up that somehow. So that example is just, it's interesting, right? Can you just rewatch some of this? So I'm not saying go back and rewatch of Lord of the Rings and it's like, but you can see that how these characters, right? How they can just move towards that. How neutral character who just exhibits slight weakness then can very quickly become grotesquely taken over by something. Well, this just shows the maybe the complexity of our psyche, in a sense. So my reflection to this is that the safety valve here, you see, is that I am and I'm not. That kind of like Rumi's exclamation, that I am and I'm not. So I am in a sense of all that what we've discussed today, right? Earlier. And I'm not. So it's like immediately removing any possibility for hijacking that I am. For hijacking that. Why? Because in a way it presents this a quicksilver-like, and indeed the universal egoity, this pure subjectivity is like that. There are a lot of people who have found particularly appealing aspect in the Kashmir Shaiva philosophy of its take on ego, because it's very appealing. So it doesn't say there is no ego. You see, it doesn't go like there is no ego, so it's like epiphenomenon, don't worry about that kind of. Nor does it say there is ego in a sense how in a lot of other traditions ego is being clobbered, blamed, carved, worked on, right? It's a membrane. It's literally a membrane. And it's so elastic, it has no point of stress. That's what makes it extraordinary. It has no point of stress. This is very important. When you understand that, if you contemplate on that, then you can even observe this, because it's a movement. It's an activity in consciousness, not an entity. It's a movement. So, assigning everything to the highest or to the goddess, assigning, recognizing, acknowledging, assigning to those from where we gain the, anything that prompts us, guides us, is a good thing to do. In other words, maintaining that humble attitude. This acknowledgement here, right? This acknowledgement itself creates this, like oils it, prevents it from maybe, I don't know if it's the right way of using that here to say, it insulates us from being blown out in terms of out of proportion. You see? So, but the experience of that swelling of the power, it can be in a very different way experienced for everyone. It's described in some texts, in some scriptures. One can experience, for example, literally physically becoming big, tall, or very strong, or very heavy, or very light, weightless, palpably experiencing infinity. All these experiences are there, available in our field, literally. So the experience of that power of which you speak is also very well known. That concern, that this power, right, and the example with the dragon, though I appreciate that analogy and understand what you mean by that, right, there is always danger to fall out of grace. Always. Always. This is what it means, you see, like, so this is why that delegating, you see, something amazing happens and it's so easy for us to claim that to ourselves. Instantaneously, all the muck comes with that. Like in healing, psychic healing. Psychic healer is the most endangered. The most endangered. When someone who assists in any form of psychic healing is always endangered. And guess where the greatest danger? Not being hollow enough. Because when one is not hollow enough, then one ceases to become an instrumentality and vehicle through which the healing takes place. And some kind of portion that retains that on the account of feeling somehow, right? I done great, right? Oh my God. You'll be kind of like behave humbly, but there is portion that whatever that is, that's it. That's where the accumulation of that psychic material will immediately lay sediments. There and then. This is why in the scriptures, yogic tantric scriptures, there is an unapologetic, merciless critique of an attitude. I've done that and yet I've achieved that and I yet to achieve this. Constantly. Why is it being debunked? Why is it being kind of... Well, because this all props up that what's supposed to get loosened. Supposed to get loosened. So this is why, in a way, the phase of psychic powers is such touch and go. Such touch and go. On one hand, it's an extraordinary opportunity, once in a lifetime, right? When we are, not quite, most of us will never be at that level. Let's also face that. But never say never. That when we get access to the templates, when we can literally do what the science is trying to do now, to play God, let's say, right? But this kind of like manipulate creation at the level of the tattvas, exactly. That's what it is. When the structure of the tattvas is revealed, this becomes a possibility. And psychic powers are accumulated mostly at the point where the unfolding prana Shakti that is, hits some psychic material, accumulated in this or that wheel of energy, in this or that chakra. There is a term, it flares in psychic phenomena. So in other words, funny enough, in pure beings, very little psychic phenomena. The purer the being, pure in a sense, system is not clogged much. They don't pull rabbits out of a hat. They can't, you know. They don't do like the tricks, like, you know. Right? And so, and it's a quack wow, and it's like a frog, or you know. They can't. See, they. Of course, it's accompanied by another understanding, you know. But even if the greatest gift is being considered, the greatest siddhi, the greatest psychic gift, the one and the only not to be renounced, is known as Vak siddhi. Vak siddhi, the power of speech. What it means is being able to have the power to manifest what one says. And of course, it's the most precious asset if one wants to guide others. But all other siddhis has to be abandoned anyway. So that so many times it's reminded in the Patanjali Sutras, we go through the Vibhuti-pada and get the techniques of how to get this and that siddhi, only to open the next page on the final pada, right, on Kaivalya, on the final liberation, and it says, all these are to be abandoned. Oops, like the whole freaking sutras are so slim that the whole like part on the siddhis is like the thickest. All this is like, why bother? Well, there are reasons for that. So just bear that in mind. And that's relevant to all of us, because it can be applied to some other maybe areas of understanding as well. So, but when it comes to this, knowing how to work with these powers, being prepared for them, it's a thing in itself, because we will then be potentially tested how we want to handle this. And the test may come in such a way that we're not even aware that at this moment in time it's a test. I mean, the best tests are never like alarm goes on that letting you know that this is a test, right? Like, you know, like the watch now tells, not the watch, the phone tells everything, right? It's not going to be like, test is coming, brace position. No, it just can come from sweetest, most, whatever, encounter, and then whack. So make what you will out of this, Ebony. But of course, enjoy the ride. You know, enjoy the ride, of course, and right, that it is for the reason given to experience, right? So it has that legitimacy there. And with all these aforementioned, you know, like little things, you would go through it with grace. Thank you.